Hello, my name's Andrew David. The city of Nottingham has a long and glorious heritage which is well documented and recorded. This video doesn't attempt to be a history of the city, but is a selection of old film clips from widely differing sources and is a reflection of some of the events and long-forgotten images as seen through the eyes of local filmmakers. If there's been original soundtrack on the film, this has been preserved to reflect the thoughts of the people at the time. I hope that you enjoy it now as much as they did.
The old market square is an open space of 5 1/4 acres in the middle of Nottingham, where for centuries the market and goose fair were held. It seems to have been the same size and the same peculiar leg of mutton shape from nearly Norman times, when a central wall divided the English and French halves. The open market was, in 1928, thought to be one of the largest in the country. But after that year, the market and goose fair were removed to other sites and replaced by a paved open space with a broad processional way running down the middle, practically along the site of the old dividing wall. From 4:30, when the first morning light is filtering into the square, buses arrive with the earliest of the workers, those for whom the day begins while most other people are still asleep and some of the travellers themselves are hardly awake. Those who have worked throughout the night are already in the square, waiting to be taken home. Most of these early travellers catch the same bus and travel with the same companions every morning. They are familiar, at least by sight, to each other, as familiar as the news vendors who arrive just after 6 with papers to be read at work or on the way home. Familiar, too, is the postman, starting on his round of the business houses. And even more familiar are the many people whose job it is to clean, scrub, and polish away all traces of yesterday before the sun climbs above the dome of the council house to flood the square with light.
The Goose Fair has long been a highlight in the Nottingham calendar, with its roots dating back to at least 1284. Legend has it that the name came from the huge flocks of geese driven up in their thousands from the fens of East Anglia for sale at the produce and livestock market held in the market square. A common feature in the 1920s were wild animals, these days only to be seen in zoos. And here a young boy experiences firsthand feeding a bear cub. The people of Nottingham need little excuse for getting into a celebratory mood. Over the past century, Nottingham has taken full advantage of celebrating royal occasions. 1936 saw the proclamation of King Edward VIII. Judging by the size of the crowds squeezing into every available corner, it was a joyous occasion. King Edward VIII was popular with the people of Nottingham, especially since becoming the owner of Grove Farm at Lenton. Although his visits were mostly of a private nature, he was sometimes to be seen at the more formal functions in the city, giving him a special place in the heart of the people of Nottingham. On the 27th of July 1929, the new municipal aerodrome at Tollerton was opened. Regarded as one of the finest landing grounds in the country, it was the scene of many pre-war air pageants enjoyed by thousands. The Lord Mayor, Alderman Atke, is seen boarding a plane at Hucknall Aerodrome, where he took a flight to Stag Lane Aerodrome in London where he was to receive the licence for Tollerton from the Secretary of State for Air. During the 1920s, the popularity of Scouting continued to grow under the guidance of its founder, Lord Baden-Powell, and the patronage of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. Nottingham was proud to host a jamboree and pageant attended by Lord Baden-Powell to commemorate significant events in the history of Nottingham. Scout troops from around Nottinghamshire recalled such events as the establishment of a castle at Nottingham, not the existing one, following the Norman conquest.
Nottingham's first 100 years as a city have been packed full of royal occasions since the granting of city status in 1897 by Queen Victoria. The earliest visit we have on film is that of Edward, Prince of Wales, on August the 1st, 1923. He visited Nottingham as part of a tour of Britain's industrial and agricultural counties, and we see him here crossing the city boundary at Bulwell and being received by the mayor, sheriff and town clerk. From Bulwell Market, the Prince went to Ellerslie House on Gregory Boulevard, which at that time was a home for paralysed sailors and soldiers, funded by the Duke of Portland. 15 minutes later, he was on his way to the forest, where 20,000 children were patiently waiting to greet their prince. As the prince took his place on the platform, the children proudly sang, "God bless the Prince of Wales." During September and October 1951, Nottingham played host to the travelling Festival of Britain show and exhibition. Nottingham was one of only 5 cities in the country to host the event. 100 lorries delivered 5,000 exhibits to a variety of sites around the city. Here we see local civic dignitaries arriving on the Broad Marsh site. There were exhibits for every taste and everyone, including an extensive art exhibition at the castle, a local history exhibition at the Guildhall, and a schools exhibition at the People's College.